If you wanna stay with me, if you wanna try, maybe you could be with me, but only for the night.
Good evening, everyone. This is the Anime Analyst. I am your host, Thomas Fry.
I'm your co-host Asnan Zadi.
And welcome to our last HiDive show of the week. Doesn't mean we're not going to talk about animes from HiDive. We just wanted to give you a HiDive week, a whole special of nothing but HiDive. And for those people that don't have access to HiDive, don't fret about it. We have a solution.
But there are some regions where HiDive is not available at the moment, so you can watch that by using the VPN because they allow it. So for me to get access to the animes on HiDive, I use VPN. There are a couple of VPNs you can use, either MediaNet, Surfshark, whichever is available to you. But to get to that content, you have to use VPN.
What kind of money does it cost extra for that VPN?
It depends on the services. Like if you are going to buy on monthly basis, it will be higher. If you buy for annually, it will be less. So where I am at it, if I bought for a year, the VPN I use BetterNet. It is around $55 for a year.
Well, that's not too bad. I mean, you are paying for that, but it'll also work for more than just HiDive. Once you have the VPN, you got it. That is important information in watching HiDive. And by the way, so we don't get too far from our main subject, tonight is farming in another world. And you know me, every once in a while I forget what the hell I was going to say, and right in the middle of that I got about the one word out, and that was it. Alright, so farming in another world, and there are several farming in other worlds, but this one really concentrates on farming, and to a point. I mean, there's a whole story that goes along with this, but this is one of those fun animes. It's the story is kind of open, and it basically gives you, you're in another world, so you have all kinds of different races and stuff like that, and it's a bunch of people coming together to eat good and party hardy and have a good time, and and I'll get into it a little later, but I was reading reviews on animes like I always do, and to me, a couple of the reviewers just totally missed what this anime was about. And this is about having fun watching it and wanting to make you, trying to include you in on their party of just how much fun it is to live, even though they're in the middle of the forest of death. It's an isekai where did he get run over by a truck? I know he was in a hospital and died, but
He died due to some terminally illness at the age of 39. So there was no truck involvement.
and we start this anime it's not a truck killing isekai this time. He just lies there in a bed and kaput. And why don't you tell that the beginning of this? You start us off this time.
So when they started the anime, and I was really confused, like how they take the story further. Like he just get to a place where he has nobody, and he just started farming, and he has a tool that can transform into anything. Like I was really surprised, like this is going to be that much interesting, like on the way. Like if you remember, like we had this conversation that I don't like light animes like that, but this was totally different. I really liked it.
Yeah, to me, this is a really fun slice of life one, and I know you're not a huge fan of that, laid back, but I so far the ones that you don't really like are the school life slice of life, and that's mainly we've had that conversation where if you don't experience it, schooling for you was a lot different than it was for me. You know, as people that are watching may not know, we're 9,000 miles apart here. Hassan is one of my very closest friends, and we've known each other for, what, over 2 years now, and we just, in our conversations, we're like, you know, hey, I'd like to do this anime thing, and he's like, well, I'm interested in it, and it just kind of grew from there, and now you have Anime Analyst. Um, and we, you know, everybody's got what they like and what they don't like, and um, I like laid back animes. I like slice of life ones, but this one is, even though it didn't get the greatest reviews, it still is at the top of the heap when it comes to fun kind of slice of life that's not putting you in a school environment that's, you know, all adults in it. I think there's only what, 4 kids in the whole thing, and they don't even show up till episode 6 or 7, and they're only supporting characters. So before we get into too much of this, let me go back and hit the beginning, because, you know, this is HiDive Week and this is the last day. So excuse the format loss there. We wanted to get that in on how we are watching, how you can watch HiDive from anywhere in the world and be able to see it. This was a 12 episode. Again, it was Farming in Another World. It premiered the winter of 2023 by Sentai Filmworks. It was done at Zero G Studios. It was from a light novel. There is talk about season 2. I don't think they'll do it, but I think that's just the rumor mill trying to, you know, generate buzz for the season. But the genre, they are listing it as fantasy slice of life. And they're calling the theme an isekai and reincarnation, but although it is an isekai with reincarnation, I think isekai should be a genre. It's not just a theme. And it's PG-13. This thing holds a score of 7.55, and out of 10, that's really good. But the rest of it, like, it's ranked at 1715, which kind of makes it not look as good as some other ones. But there's only 111,000 people in the fan group. So when they calculate this, and it's done by a math formula that's about that long, so I can't even fit it on the screen. It's the way they calculate this. All our scores are taken from myanimelist.net. So you can go check them out yourself if you want. It's got a popularity rating of 1,100. It's got 228,000 members, and 1,800 people put it down as a favorite. So those are really good numbers for a slice of life about farming. Normally you got to have mayhem, death, destruction, carnage to get those kind of numbers, but they do it with corn and grapes and wine and whiskey and you know, holding the glass up, and it's kind of funny. I mean, I like it. For me, it took off right away. By the end of the first episode, I was into it on watching. How about for you?
Same. And I think the other main reason is like this is the dream for many people, like to have a farming land, get retired, and live away from the city and have a quiet place. And that's what they show there. And other thing is like they completed something like he had a kid in the last, he get married. Like there is no confusion like
Yeah, that happened in like the first 5 minutes. He was like, "Will you stay with me forever?" And she's the one. Well, did you just propose to me? And he's like, "Well, yeah, that's what I did. Yes, yes, I'm proposing." And it was. She definitely wears the pants in that family because it was hilarious. He's a human with a multi-tool that'll turn into any farming implement. Remember, it wouldn't turn into a pen or anything else he needed. It's only a farming tool. And he's got in those farming tools, they gave him the Spear of Grimel. And this is a badass spear. I mean, this thing took down a wyvern from him throwing it. So in the in the in the world that he was isekai to, um, he starts gathering all these people in the forest of death that are farming. I mean, he started doing a little bit, and he keeps getting more and more people. And he's like, "You need a place to live? No problem. We work from the time we get up till the time we go to bed," and that's there's no bones about it, but it is all fun. And he introduces alcohol into it. And I mean, we are talking dwarves, elves, dragons, beast people, you name it, every kind of fantasy person, or what's the word I'm looking for? Species of being is here at his farm, and they build it from the beginning to end. And they got the occasional party going on. One of my favorite parts is when he makes the grape smashing machine from way back when. How they used to make wine back in like the first century of life. They figured out how to smash grapes and they ferment on their own, and boom, you got wine. And that's how they did it, and they had fun doing it. And the whole time, he has no magic with the exception of his farming tool. And he does kind of complain a little bit about it, but he just, I mean, if I was around a whole bunch of magical people and I didn't have magic, I would kind of want it too. I'd be bummed out. I'm like, man, I want magic too. I would love to be able to poof and a fire starts.
Exactly, have too many things in the anime, like the characters they have in the village, like the spider, like the dogs, like the and like the demon lord who owned that land. His generals are worried, like he's growing in power and we can't match him. So they are like they don't trust him in the start. Like they are worried, like what if he has the power to take over that. But if you see the other side, he don't have any idea like what's
He's
happening.
completely carefree and doesn't even know that this is a existing problem. And by the way, I do got to say something. You definitely are right. We well since went over our time on this, and I kind of saved to me what's the funnest, and this anime was fun. Um, and there's like we said, there's no violence in it. There's nothing bad. I mean, it's an adult version of a rated G um film, but there is some profanity, there is a little bit of violence, there's enough to where they make it PG-13, but definitely check it out. It is worth the watch. So, what would you say in closing about this slice of life that called Farming from Another World?
Like this is the best anime in the category of slice of life that I have seen till to date. Like sometimes like the school animes and other things I don't get to, like I don't understand these things because we are not familiar with that. But this farming thing, I think it's basic all around the world. If you see, like everybody is doing farming same way. Like
Yes.
they planted rice, like they grew
It's an unspoken language, and it's the one thing that even in our world, all countries can agree on because we all trade in farming products around the world. All 200 countries in this world trade food products. So it's the one thing that would bind basically every world that exists. Everyone's got to eat. If you got to eat in the world, then you got to trade in farming at some point. And I like how you put it on this slice of life. That's a good one. So we'll be back next week. We want to thank you for hanging out with us and watching HiDive Week. We are on our new YouTube channel, and we will not be broadcasting any shows to our old YouTube channel. We're going to shut that down eventually after about 30 days, and we'll just be on YouTube at Anime Analyst-US. And I look forward to seeing you next week. Do you got anything else you want to add for this HiDive Week?
I think I would just say like it was a good week. Like all the animes that we watched, and I think this is the first time I get to know about the high dive. I think because the reason is like I don't have access here, so like maybe most of the people don't know about it, but most probably will know. But the animes that we do on this, and they are completely different from the other companies' animes.
And we don't worry, there are more that we want to talk about from HiDive. So we will definitely visit HiDive. We just, as soon as we decide on what week it'll be, I like this HiDive Week format. So we will definitely visit it again. We want to thank you for hanging out with us here at Anime Analyst. I'm your host, Thomas Fry.
And I'm your co-host, Saber.
And we will see you on Monday.